Hi, I'm Dr. Robin Simmons, the Executive Director of Raising Our Kids Incorporated. All right, this is our new normal. This, wearing masks, is our new normal. How are we adjusting to this? How are we adjusting? We're still teaching our kids at home, having them on the schedule as we kind of try to adjust. We don't know when it will end, and when it does end, when this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic ends, how is that going to be looking new? Just like 9/11, after that ended, we had a new concept of things that we are still doing today. So as we continue this road of teaching our kids, keeping them on the same path, looking at their social emotional learning needs, and we need to take care of ourselves too. Just like the concept, you put your oxygen mask on first before you help someone else. So sometimes we need to kind of govern our state of mind, because we want our kids to become independent, financially self-sustaining, and positive contributors to society. But their mental well-being will be a big factor here. What good is being academically progressing when they're suffering emotionally? So we need to continue to look for those things and gauging how they feel, how they're going through this, teaching them how to social distancing. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing because teenagers feel they're invincible. They can go around their friends and things like that. Young people, they don't understand. They can't just go about life like normal. Now they have to wear masks or make sure they're so much far apart from somebody. And that's just a tough situation. When we go back to school, please, on the forefront of your mind, ask about their social emotional learning curriculum. This, by any means, is going to be a very important factor after this, a very important ongoing thing. Now, I want to talk about some more strategies of how we can help our child when they're going through or having their moment. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm having a moment too. I used to be so busy, always having things to do, places to go, to this, and it affects me too. It affects me too. Sometimes I have just a down moment, and it's hard for me to, now I have to make up things to do. Okay, I'm going to go from my kitchen to my basement. From my basement. Just making that schedule for myself from room to room to do certain things, certain projects. So I do have to have a moment too. But when our kid is having a moment and it's really tough, I used to tell parents, when parents, come to my office because of a certain issue, the kid was throwing furniture in the room, yelling at the teacher, shut up, stop talking to me, and using all sorts of profanity, things of that nature, and parent has to come in and they want to just scold their child. They want to punish their child by the behaviors. And I do say, discipline is very important. We do not want to make our kids feel like it's okay to act like that or do things, but we need to replace it with some positive ways to cope with their issues. And I tell people, you are what you eat. You know that saying? If you eat a lot of junk food and a lot of greasy foods, how that can be detrimental to the inside of your body. But if you eat a lot of healthy foods, vegetables, sometimes we don't like to eat our vegetables, but we know it is good for us. It gives us great nutrition. So therefore, it builds a stronger self inside. So mentally, we are what we eat. If we feed our kids, healthy ways to how to cope with their emotions, healthy ways of how to kind of get their mind calm their bodies, calm their anger and everything. Therefore, when they are in those moments, that's what their pull is coming from. They will have those tools naturally and they innate in them that's what they're going to use. In my office, kids, I have coloring stuff, I have calming jars, and I have puzzles, bubbles, things that they can just gravitate to when they're upset and I can't get a word out of them. I just tell them, okay, just shake up my jars for me. And then you shake them up, they send a calm down, and then they can come back and tell me exactly what happened or things of that nature. Or I tell them we're going to have a bubble contest because I want them to breathe. And they're not breathing. So I'm like, okay, you take these bubbles and I'm taking these bubbles, and we're going to just do a bubble contest and see who can blow the most bubbles in a minute. We don't count them, but it just gets them to breathe. So those type of calming techniques and everything, we really need to intentionally have our kids do. So they would know that's what their go-to is. And some of us need it too. Some of us need to practice those calming techniques. We have to model. We have to model for our child how to cope with our situations. And with this pandemic, we're going to have to do a lot of modeling. Now, I do want to say, everybody has a moment. Everybody has a moment, and it should just be a moment. During life is going to hit us. Life is hitting us right now. And we should know this is just a moment. Now, if it lasts longer than a moment, Dr. Simmons, I'm an education doctor. I'm a doctor in education. I'm not a therapist, a physician, clinical. No, I'm not that. And I stay in my lane. So therefore, if it's just a moment, that's when we know that this is a red flag. We need to go to other services that people are professions in that expertise, in that so we can handle the situation. I don't want us to shy away or think we're not going to, we don't need those physicians or whatever. We should welcome the help. We should welcome the help because, again, this is giving our kids the tools that they need to become independent, financially self-sustaining, and positive contributors to society. And that's our overarching goals. So, and it also goes with when I want to discuss culturally responsive teaching. Now, culturally responsive teaching, when I say culture, what do you think of? Okay. People say foods, how they dress, how people wear their hair, cooking, games, stories. That's part of culture, but I'm going not even on a shallow end. You know how some people, some cultures, the eye contact is offensive. Some cultures, you have to give them eye contact for respect. Raise their kids doing this, and certain cultures do that. So, but when I talk about cultural responsiveness, as far as education and teaching, I'm talking about more of the decision making, our worldview, concept of self, spirituality, and the notion of fairness. That's on a deeper level, and we need to be mindful in whatever we teach in the curriculum that we teach our kids. If it's culturally responsive, how can we incorporate that? How can you challenge the teachers when this is all over to incorporate the culturally responsive teaching within that curriculum? I tell teachers all the time when I'm evaluating them, you can take this curriculum and it can be sold in any district. But if you have an all boys class versus all girls class, you're going to teach it differently. So how are you taking this curriculum and customizing it to your audience, to the people that's in front of you? You now have to know them, and you have to know their culture. So I'm particularly sensitive and aware of those students, if you have your child in a district that they're the minorities of, we need to make sure that that district is using some type of cultural responsiveness that caters to the culture of your child. They need to see themselves. They should not have to find, seek, and search how they fit in this world. They need to see themselves, so therefore they can become independent, financially self-sustaining, and positive contributors to this society. All right, thank you. That's my time. We'll talk later. Stay safe.